Good day, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good night, whatever time it is that you're watching this. Hello, Year 7. This is a short Loom video that's hopefully going to help you think a little bit more about answering the question why we need science or why science is important. To start you off, just a really quick quiz. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? For some people, the chicken came first, because otherwise, how are you going to get the egg? And for other people, the egg came first, because otherwise, where do you get the chicken? Which came first, chicken or the egg? Think of an answer. You can test your mum and dad, brother or sister, but there is a biological way of answering this question. Because if you think in biology, you could think about the animals in the animal kingdom, the vertebrates, the animals that lay eggs, the turtles, the lizards, the snakes, the crocodiles, and the birds. Of the bird family, chickens are part of that family, and they appear in the evolutionary tree 58,000 years ago. So the chickens came not long ago in terms of evolution. 58,000 years is not very long. But if you look further down this evolutionary tree, you'll see that the turtles, the lizards, the snakes, and crocodiles evolved from earlier animals. And way back when, the first animal that laid the egg, fossil evidence tells us, is around about 340 million years ago. So which came first, chicken or the egg? In terms of biology and evolution, we think the egg came first. So to continue to think about the answering the question why science is important or why we need science, think of a scientist. Close your eyes. Imagine a scientist. What do you see in your mind's eye when you think of a scientist? Now, hardly surprisingly, many of you might think of Dr. Emmett here on the left from Back to the Future. 21.1 gigawatts of electricity, which is the amount of energy required to make the DeLorean time machine work. Or you might think of Albert Einstein, one of the most famous scientists from the 20th century. But often, many of you will think of the stereotype of a man, a male, white, wearing a lab coat. That's the typical vision that we're portrayed on movies or on TV for a scientist. But these aren't the only type of scientists. Women can be scientists. One of the most famous people in history, in scientific history, Marie Curie, is a woman. There's loads of black and minority ethnic people who are scientists, very famously. One of the most famous virologists who discovered the cure to malaria was a Chinese woman who's only recently become famous. So when you imagine a scientist, stereotypically it's a white man in a lab coat, but anybody can be a scientist. So think of a scientist, any scientist. I bet you didn't think that you were a scientist. Because in fact, the answer to the question, think of a scientist, you, every single person who's watching this video, we're all born scientists. Because the thing about life is that when you're born and you come out of the mother's womb, the moment you come out, you are exploring the environment. Even non-verbally, you're asking what's going on. What happens if I move my fingers like this? Look, you open your eyes and looking at things and trying to make sense of why something's happening. And how many of you have been told off by your parents for going, why? I mean, every time you asked why, you were thinking like a scientist. And every time you try something different to see how it works, to see what happens. So when you stack your building blocks as a child, to see what would happen if they topple over, or you try something different. And sometimes, I bet some of you made a few mistakes, got hurt, had a few injuries as part of this exploration and discovery. Every time you do something, you're being scientific. We're all scientists. So next time somebody asks you, think of a scientist. Some of you might like to start thinking of yourselves as scientists. But the question for today is, why is science important? Why do we need science? Now, believe it or not, science affects everything we do. You can't escape science. Science is everywhere. It's all around us, and it makes our lives easier. If you imagine 30, 40,000 years ago, as we're huddled in caves with animal skins on our backs, afraid of the noises of the saber-toothed tigers outside. We've moved on so far from then because of science and technological advancements made up from our discoveries of the world and our scientific understanding. What can we do with science? Now, I'd like to think that this video might help answer that question.
Distrust science because they don't understand it or feel they can control it.
Science gives you understanding, and understanding not only gives you, as it were, power, but it also gives you a heck of a lot of fun.
And we suddenly realise, well, if we can't recruit people, we have jobs that we really love and enjoy, but are we telling anybody else about those jobs? So we decided that we need to get out there and encourage more people to join us.
So we need science. And here's some of the facts about what science has done for us in the last 40,000 years. We've had advances in medicine and agriculture that have saved more lives that have been lost in all the wars in history. Just think about how many people that is. More people are saved because of science that have been killed in all of the conflicts over the millennia. The earth is round. I'm sorry if that's a surprise to you, but there are some people out there who aren't sure about that fact. But scientific thinking has proven that the earth is round. And in fact, not just that the earth is round, but that we revolve around the sun. Earlier thinking was that everything else revolved around the earth. We now know that all of the planets and all of the asteroids and comets and us as well revolve around our sun. And we're revolving around the center of the Milky Way galaxy, which is as part of a huge, gigantic universe that was formed some 13 billion years ago. We also know that disease is spread by germs, by bacteria and viruses. And don't we know that now? The coronavirus is affecting all of our lives. And finally, one of the most significant things that we are beginning to understand is how current climate change is being dramatically affecting the world, and it's caused by us as humans. And we're going to have to change the way we live to help preserve our way of life in the future. So let's just think about the things that I've tried to cover in this video so far. Science is a way of thinking. It's a way to unravel the Earth's mysteries, to see its beauty, to look at all the facts, to make informed decisions. And we don't just rely on preconceived ideas and biases, meaning just our own thoughts. We test these things and we look at the evidence. We need science. We were all born scientists, and we need to be scientifically literate. There are 2 other links to videos that you can watch if you might be interested. They're a lot shorter. One's 1 minute 30 long, and the other one's 2 minutes 50 long. That'll help answer the question about why we need to be scientifically literate and why we need science. And I just want to finish off by saying thank you. And you'll recognize the music on this clip if you've gone to a View Cinema. This is Solomon Gray and The Rift. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you have a good summer. Make sure that you answer the question why we need science in your best handwriting. Hand it in to your teacher, and I look forward to seeing you after we return from the summer. Stay safe.